Hello guys, so as promised I've decided to do another video. This one got slightly a morbid approach. It's regarding depression, which we all know is a serious subject, but I don't want it to come across as down in the dumps. Hopefully some positive lessons, there's a bit of hope for some people out there, and a bit of a positive way of looking at things. So anyway, as you can see, I've had a bit of a trim since the last video. I was looking a bit haggard, a bit stick of the dump. So here goes. So to give you a bit of a background insight into things, 11 years ago now, my sister unfortunately took her own life. She was going through a bad way, and yeah, she decided that things were too much and wanted to end things. Now at the time I had mixed emotions about that. So my first thought was, what a massive gap in not only my life but all those that were around her. My second thought was, I couldn't understand why she'd done it. So yeah, a while ago, completely confused, completely baffled, and also left with a touch of anger, I guess. So fast forward on from that some years ago, so we're going back now approximately 3 years ago. So one morning woke up, and boy did I feel ill, and I mean real ill. Can't fully explain how I felt, but it was like my brain was being crushed. I'd got no motivation. I didn't want to do anything. Couldn't concentrate. Couldn't sit still. It was absolutely horrible. So the way I dealt with that was like lots of other people had dealt with things in the past, and I went out and I had a right good drink. And for those that know me out there, I was usually first at the bar, and I was probably the last to leave. So yeah, I had a right good drink, and I think the best way of putting it is I got completely sozzled. So anyway, I woke up the next morning, and yeah, I didn't feel any better. In fact, I felt worse. So I went for another walk, bit of exercise. I was doing quite a lot of exercise then, still am now, just as much, maybe a little bit more. But so I went for a good walk, and I probably got around about half a mile into this walk, and I quickly realised two things. The first one was, I ain't feeling any better, and the second one was, I was in a real bad way and I needed to do something, and I needed to do something quite quickly. Now, I love my mum and dad to bits, and we communicate quite a lot, but we never talk on the phone. It's always via text message. Obviously that's technology nowadays, but you know, it is what it is. So things were that bad, I thought, I'm going to call my mum, because she's a wise woman and she usually gives me good sound advice. So I typed in the number, I called her, and I was literally stood there in the middle of the road, and I was praying, absolutely praying she would answer the phone. And she did. And believe me, I was relieved. So she said, you know, what's up, John? What's up? And I went, Mum, I ain't good. I'm real bad. In fact, I'm probably the lowest I could possibly be. So she said two things to me. Firstly, you need to phone the doctors and you need to say, I need an appointment now. No excuses, now. Second thing is, once you've been to the doctor and you've seen him, you need to get your bum over to ours and you're staying. So I took her advice. So going to see the doctor was quite embarrassing. It was literally like, pulling down your pants in Woolworths, for those that are old enough to remember Woolworths. And then at the age of what was probably 47, 48, packing my bags and go to seek refuge at my mum's and dad's house was also something that was a bit strange and slightly uncomfortable. But anyway, I did it. So I arrived. My mum greeted me with a big hug, smile. My dad was the same. And straight away I felt some form of relief, which was great. Second thing that happened was my mum kind of banned me from drinking, but I knew it was kind of the best advice in the meantime. My niece was absolutely golden. She started suggesting, going down the fields, going for runs, walking with the dogs and everything. So I was kind of there for, I think, a week and a half in total. And each morning I'd wake up, and each morning my mum would say, how you feeling, John? And I'd go, I ain't gonna lie, I ain't feeling any better. So after about a week and a half of staying off the booze, doing some training, being around, key point here, around those people that wanted to listen and not judge me, made a huge difference. Absolutely huge difference. Now, I'm not going to lie, and I'm not ashamed of it. Things were that bad. Against all my wishes, I decided to take medication. So that was another way in which, I got help, I suppose. I think it was also refreshing as well for people that A, I knew, and B, were close to me, also leveled with me and said, you know what? It's not a weirdo disease. It happens to everybody, and you can never ever know when it's coming up, why it's coming up. For me, at the time I went through it, I was going through multiple issues at work, relationship issues. To be honest, I don't exactly know what triggered it, but what I do know is it hit me, and it hit me hard. But yeah, I've got a lot of thanks from my family for getting me through that period, because it was testing. I think training a lot, keeping active, trying to focus also got me through it, and just knowing that it's normal, and everyone's hand that reached out to me, I took it and I embraced it. And it's nice to hear other people say, do you know what, I went through that and I got through it. So one day I woke up after a couple of weeks and I said, that's it. I wouldn't advise this, but I went cold turkey off the tablets after about 2 or 3 weeks. And touch wood, I've been all right since. I train 5 or 6 days a week. I don't drink during the week anymore. I have a good drink at the weekend. I do kick the arse out of it, but I think a lot of us do. And, you've got to live for the moment. I think now, looking back, as well as what I discussed in my first video, about having that awkward transitioning phase from the army to Civvy Street, for me personally, if I was brutally honest, I think I've had a black cloud following me for years. And I think it's a case of how we deal with that black cloud. For me, sometimes I'll wake up, I've got money in the bank, my job's good, I've got a fantastic girlfriend that's an absolute rock, I've got a lovely little dog. Say hello, Ross. I've got lots of good things going on, but sometimes, even though I can't explain it, the cloud's there, and it's a case of how you're dealing with it, how you deal with it. And I think even after all these years, we can all learn. I'm 51 now, edging towards 52, and I think sometimes, as soft as it sounds, being brave, being honest, appreciating those things that are around you, being nice to folk, doesn't cost anything. And yeah, just being honest. Anyway, I've rabbled on far too much. I don't know if any of this makes sense, it resonates with anyone out there, it's helpful. But one thing I would like to say is, if anyone out there doesn't have any issues and they need someone to speak to, despite what people might have said behind my back in the past, I'm quite loyal. I've got a lot of time for folk, and if I help someone and they help me back, great, but I never do anything, you know, for something in return. So I hope you've enjoyed listening. I hope it hasn't ruined your evening and put too much of a dampener on your weekend, because I'm off for a pint now. I've walked the dog. Yeah, anyway, take care. See you later. Bye.